3, The Notion of Reflective Teaching, Section 1, Meanings of Reflective Teaching. Reflection means thinking about what one is doing. It entails a process of contemplation with openness to being changed, a willingness to learn, and a sense of responsibility for doing one's best. Perhaps this process seems natural, and indeed it may be. But it also poses a challenge. Consider a metaphor of reflection. Think about looking at your reflection in a mirror and you'll get a sense of how easy it can be to reflect, or to see an image shown back to you. Yet it is much more difficult to truly look at yourself. It can be painful to face your imperfections, uncomfortable to acknowledge your strengths, and both odd and inspiring to glimpse yourself from another point of view. Such are the dualities of seeing your own reflection. So it is with reflection in teaching. Reflective teachers face the challenge of truly seeing themselves in their teaching. For instance, students learn when teachers teach well. But how do teachers know when they're teaching well? How can they be supported and encouraged to think about the quality of their teaching and its impact on student learning? Unlike non-reflective teachers, reflective teachers approach their practice with openness, wholeheartedness, and responsibility, looking for the better path to take, the edges that need to be smoothed, and the changes they need to make in their practice to improve learning for students. Therefore, reflective teaching necessarily encompasses the critical self-evaluation of teachers, which can be difficult emotionally. Dewey, 1933, defines reflection as active, persistent, and careful consideration of any belief or practice. As teachers, we can reflect on classroom decisions and events, but reflection also involves the emotional, passionate, and intuitive side of teaching. Routine action versus reflection action. Routine action is guided primarily by tradition, external authority and circumstance. In reflective teaching, teachers engage in active, persistent and careful consideration of any belief or supposed form of knowledge in the light of the grounds that support it and its consequences. Thus reflective teachers consistently assess the origins, purposes and consequences of their work. Today's professional knowledge requires that teachers employ the reflective approach, which is plan, act, reflect, evaluate, rather than the traditional application approach, plan, implement, evaluate. Section 2, Becoming a reflective teacher. There are attitudes and skills you should develop to be a better reflective teacher. According to Dewey, 1933, there are 3 essential attitudes and practices that characterize a reflective teacher. 2.1 3 essential attitudes of reflective practitioners. The 3 essential attitudes or habits of mind first described by Dewey are still considered the foundation of reflective practice. They are open-mindedness, responsibility, and wholeheartedness. Open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is a willingness to consider new evidence as it occurs and to admit the possibility of error. Open-mindedness means being open to other points of view, appreciating that there are many ways to view a particular situation or event, and staying open to changing your own viewpoint. Part of open-mindedness is also letting go of needing to be right or wanting to win. It requires hearing different views as valid ways of thinking, not as threats. Open-mindedness is described as an active desire to listen to more sides than one, to give full attention to alternative possibilities, and to recognize the possibility of error even in our most dear beliefs. Being open-minded requires the capacity to criticize oneself. Teachers who are unable to acknowledge their errors tend to blame their students for any problems that arise. For example, if 90% of the class fails a test, teachers who are open-minded consider the possibility that the material, method or approach was lacking, rather than accuse students of not studying. Open-minded teachers continually seek new information that might challenge their taken-for-granted assumptions about teaching, thus enabling them to envision a broad range of potential solutions and making it more likely that dilemmas will be resolved. Responsibility. Responsibility is the careful consideration of the consequences of one's actions, especially as they affect students. Reflective thinking leads to responsible action. Responsibility refers to a teacher's willingness to examine all decision-making, for example, decisions about curriculum, instruction, evaluation, organization, management, from a coherent philosophical framework of teaching and learning. Responsibility is the willingness to acknowledge that whatever one chooses to do will impact the lives of students in both foreseen and unforeseen ways. Demonstrating responsibility means owning the many positive and negative ways your actions might influence others, regardless of how things turn out. Wholeheartedness. Dewey believed that when people are thoroughly interested in a cause, they throw themselves into it with a whole heart. Teachers who are wholehearted approach all situations with the attitude that they can learn something new. The need to know is the driving force for their learning. Wholeheartedness is characterized as a commitment to seek every opportunity to learn. 2.2. 3 essential practices for becoming a reflective practitioner. While it's not possible to prescribe a step-by-step procedure, there are actions and practices that are fundamental to developing as a reflective practitioner. The following 3 practices are essential. Solitary reflection, ongoing inquiry, and perpetual problem-solving. Solitary reflection, making time for thoughtful consideration of your actions and critical inquiry into the impact of your own behavior keeps you alert to the consequences of your actions on students. It's important to engage in systematic reflection by making it an integral part of your daily practice. Keeping a reflective journal is one vehicle for ensuring time is set aside for daily reflection. Teachers also need reflective time to consider the inevitable trade-offs involved in everyday decisions that affect students. Any effort to become a reflective practitioner involves negotiating feelings of frustration and insecurity. Taking solitary time helps teachers come to accept that such feelings are a natural part of teaching. Ongoing inquiry. This practice involves unending questioning of the status quo and conventional wisdom by seeking your own truth. Being a fearless truth seeker means examining the assumptions that underlie both classroom and school practices. Perpetual problem solving. Perpetual problem solvers are never satisfied that they have all the answers and constantly seek new information. Problems present opportunities to find better solutions, build relationships, and to teach students new coping strategies. The classroom serves as a laboratory for purposeful experimentation. A practice or procedure is never permanent. New insights, understandings and perspectives can bring previous decisions up for re-evaluation at any time. 2.3. Adapting reflection into one's teaching repertoire. Some tips you may want to use for facilitating reflection teaching in the classroom. Prepare a framework for guiding the discussion. Lead the group by actively engaging each student. Set the tone by establishing norms of behavior such as, anyone in the group may speak at any time, no hand raising is required, but the rules of polite conversation are followed. No profanity or sexual innuendos are necessary to make a point. Speakers should be respectful, open-minded, and not aim to put anyone down. Insist that responses are clear, coherent sentences, not just a few words. Clarify students' responsibilities and expectations, write them down and copy for all. Arouse interest and commitment to the service learning. Assess the values, knowledge, and skills that each student brings to the project. Develop background information about the people and problems the students will encounter in the service situations to sensitize them and help to revise any misconceptions. Develop and practice any skills that will be required, including being active observers and questioners of experience. Get closure on emotional affective issues by the end of each reflective session. Leave some cognitive topical issues open until the next session to give group members an opportunity to think more about them. Section 3. Strategies/opportunities for reflection. To develop the habits of mind necessary to become reflective practitioners, pre-service and novice teachers often need to be explicitly prompted to think, respond, and act in new ways. Reflection is enhanced when mentoring or coaching is provided that allows teachers as learners to tap into their own realm of experiences, reflect on those experiences, and construct personal meaning to inform their developing practice. Reflection, especially critical reflection and self-reflection, are complex constructs requiring strategically constructed mediation or facilitation. In addition, establishing self-monitoring and self-reflective activities early on can promote the kind of self-awareness that allows pre-service teachers to hear and listen to their own voices. Focusing on what they already know and believe about teaching has proven to be a useful starting point. Strategies of reflection help both teachers and students to address problems and learning challenges, deepen their understanding, and generate new insights. In addition to their reflection about their own practice, teachers may provide reflection exercises or assignments, examples, and challenges to enhance other teachers' and students' learning. So the question presents itself: how can teachers reflect? What tools can be used to facilitate the reflective process? Strategies/opportunities for reflection that have been found to be useful in promoting reflection include journal writing, teacher narratives, autobiography, metaphor, critical incidents, support groups, critical friends, and action research. Merging these task structures in creative ways and utilizing them individually, collaboratively, and with facilitated coaching is likely to have the greatest potential for promoting higher-order reflection. Teacher narratives, autobiography and metaphor. Critical incident. Portfolios. Case study analysis. Student input. Action research. Teacher narratives, autobiography and metaphor. Narratives other than journal writing can render a rich understanding of what takes place in the minds of developing teachers as they construct their reality of teaching. Teacher narratives are stories written by and about teachers and can be used as the source of narrative inquiry. Cole, 2000. It is a more disciplined form of writing than journaling in that it has a structure and a focus, the intent to communicate a story. Either keen observers or teachers themselves write real stories about teaching that illuminate the realities, dilemmas and rewards of teaching. Reflecting on teacher narratives can yield insights about motivations for teacher actions, the complexities of teaching, and about teachers. Teacher narratives can also be specifically designed to be used as case studies with the explicit purpose of reflecting on a specific problem. Using a vehicle of case story writing based on teaching experiences helped pre-service teachers move toward critical reflection. Autobiographical sketches, also called personal histories, are a specialized form of teacher narratives. These stories of a more personal and in-depth nature offer insight into the past to uncover preconceived theories of practice. When teachers write about their own biographies and how they think these have shaped the construction of their values, then they are able to see more clearly how social and institutional forces beyond the classroom and school have had an influence. Some scholars advocated the use of metaphors to help teachers become aware of their teaching identities and develop alternative ways to think about an issue. The reflection that occurs in the examination of personal teaching metaphors involves reframing the lens through which a teacher perceives a problem. It attributes a critical reflection of a practitioner. Metaphors bear the images teachers have of themselves as teachers, their professional identity. The practical theories of teachers are often expressed as metaphors as opposed to the more logical forms of expression. Through metaphors, teachers can elaborate and turn abstractions into real images, helping to give them firmer handles on slippery concepts such as a teaching. The following metaphors written by beginning teachers offer a glimpse of the images teachers have of themselves as teachers. A teacher is like a song, creating memories and bringing comfort when you hear it. A teacher is like a candle, melts itself and gives light for another. Critical incident, though generally conceived as a self-generated incident, a critical incident could also be a carefully chosen real-world example or case study of a teaching dilemma intended to serve as a springboard for reflection. Examining a critical incident can be a tool for deepening the level of reflection. Writing about critical incidents or dilemmas rather than typical daily events promoted critical reflection in novice teachers. Descriptions of high and low moments in their practice, or details of significant incidents that stand out in their lives as teachers, provide the impetus to grapple with problems and dilemmas, becoming the basis for critical investigation. By sharing critical incident responses, teachers come to realize that their individual stories have generic qualities and themes embedded within them. They discover that their personal struggles are not so different from those experienced by their colleagues. Portfolios. Professional portfolios vary from online documents to 3-ring binder folios. Portfolios are designed to encourage novice teachers to reflect about important areas such as state and/or national teaching standards and to document evidence of their knowledge and experience of each. Portfolios can be developed over the course of an entire teacher education program to demonstrate growth in knowledge and skill and can provide evidence of achievements. Portfolios can promote reflective thinking at various levels of deliberation on practical teaching matters as well as at higher levels of questioning institutional goals. The routine of reflecting on practice through portfolios can provide the novice teacher with a cognitive link between past experiences and newly encountered challenges. Discovering ways to understand present circumstances through previously acquired knowledge can help to generate new problem-solving abilities. Case study analysis. Case study analysis can be a valuable method for stimulating teacher reflection. Teaching through case study requires pre-service teachers to review unique and challenging situations and to reflect on potential solutions. Case studies can present complex situations that require difficult analysis and depend on both instructor expertise and high levels of student comprehension. Case study written reflections could be shared and discussed with peers in an effort to learn about alternative ways of approaching problems. Student input. Some studies indicated that college teachers use student input, in its varied forms, as a reflective tool. Faculty believes that student comments are very important. They learn a great deal from student evaluations as well as direct comments from the students. Additional forms include but are not limited to students' products, course evaluations, and informal student feedback. Action research. It is an inquiry-based research that follows a process of examining existing practices, implementing new practices, and evaluating the results, leading to an improvement cycle. A powerful tool for change and improvement at the local level. To do action research is to plan, act, observe and reflect more carefully, more systematically, and more rigorously than one usually does in everyday life. Action research has been a popular methodology in education for those who maintain that practitioners are more likely to make better decisions and engage in more effective practices if they are active participants in educational research. Thus, educators are working in their own environment, with their own students, on problems that affect them directly. They are at the place where research and practice intersect and real change can occur. Results of their actions can be seen firsthand, and they can build on this information. The main purpose of action research is to improve the understanding of teaching practice and to influence or change some aspect of whatever is the focus of the research. It is participatory research and usually involves collaboration between researchers. The evidence collected is qualitative and meaningful to those involved.